On the way to Casa Lotus, the home I have imagined with my husband Eduardo, the street bugs uphill and down, snakes left and right, and eventually sweeps a wide bend, shaped by one of the many small tributaries flowing into and out of the Colorado River. The Texas Hill Country is a watercolor landscape in early spring, muted amber, green, and gray. There's a halo of bluebonnets and wildflowers around the first blossoming redbud trees. Bright pops of red announce geraniums in terracotta pots outside the gates and garage doors. Palmettos and century plants occupy the flower beds along with thick petals of prickly pear cacti, determined to blossom and bear fruit, even in the crucible heat of a Texas summer. Right now, Casa Lotus is a construction site, piled with bricks and lumber, mirrored in mud. But as I slog across the yard to the inlet where my children will swim someday, I think of Thich Nhat Hanh's book, No Mud, No Lotus, The Art of Transforming Suffering. If you don't have mud, he gently reminds us, the lotus won't manifest. You can't grow lotus flowers on marble. The opportunity to evolve past suffering and manifest joy has made me a work in progress. I get that, but there are days when I really wish we could jump the turnstile and go straight to the beauty. Casa Lotus and I are works in progress, but the house has begun to take shape. The structure is skeletal, but the metaphors are fully formed. Eduardo and I thought about this house carefully for 18 months before we broke ground. With the help of many gifted architects, structural engineers, and artisans, we rendered precise drawings of every square foot and considered every detail, down to the native butterflies in the garden and the art in every room. I've curated every corner. The Spanish word curación means the same thing as the English word curate, to give cohesiveness to a body of work. But curación has an added layer of meaning, to disappear an illness, wound, or physical injury to a person. I grew up in Mexico with that tandem meaning in mind. I love the idea that art does not simply fill a space. It brings wholeness to that space. Even when I was young, I had a feeling that love should work the same way, that we should curate the contents of our hearts and lives with the same mindful intention we would apply to a sculpture garden. Studying art in college, I spent 3 consecutive summers in New York. And one day, I happened to bump into Eduardo and his cousins on the street. I didn't know Eduardo well, but our parents and grandparents were friends in Monterrey. We came from the same social circle, but that wasn't the circle I wanted to be part of right then. I wanted to be a New Yorker, artsy, and cool. Eduardo was dressed in preppy clothes, impeccably groomed, and flawlessly well-mannered. We greeted each other, and he asked where I was going. I was on my way home, but I didn't want to feel obligated to invite him there, so I said, Saks Fifth Avenue. Ah, said Eduardo, that's where we're going. His cousins seemed surprised to hear this, since we were all on limited budgets. What a coincidence, I said. May we walk with you? Of course. What else was I going to say? I had to be polite, so off we went, making small talk. We strolled up the street and went into the store. I assume you're going to the men's department. I'll go to the ladies and meet you back here in 30 minutes, I said. As soon as I walked away, I made my way through the store and slipped out of the back door. And there was Eduardo, who had evidently had the same idea as me. We laughed, caught in the act. Where are you going now? He asked. I'm going to church. Why don't we go get a drink instead? I'd never noticed before that his eyes were so full of mischief. This was not the day I met Eduardo, but it was the day we connected.